We are now at the penultimate event of the Bourne Network's Marble Championship Season 2. And now we have the Biathlon. So basically how this one will go is there will be two sections, as always in a biathlon. There'll be the running and then the shooting. So the runner will have to go down the track, and then once they get to that bottom section, we'll see it in a second here, this is the running course, they'll hit the next marble, the shooter marble, onto the beam, and how far the shooter goes on the beam will decide how many seconds are taken off the runner's time, and then that will be their official time in the event. So we'll see how the ultraviolets go as they get off to a very quick start. Radiate and Refract will be running for them onto the twisty parts. There's a bit of a hairpin there that they could go a little slowly around, but they hit the shooter onto the beam, and they're going to go quite far. They're going to get close to the end. And that's going to be 179, and the ultraviolets break the record set by the testing staff. 7.11. Well, a lot of records being broken at the moment, especially in the last event. We had 3 of them. That makes 4 so far. Let's see if anyone else can beat that. Get another record maybe even. The black marker's off to a quick start. Another one slow around that corner. I think a lot of these teams will be. But the shooter doesn't get very far down the balance beam. Only 113, which means 1.13 seconds taken off the time for a 7.62. I hope it's a little bit easier to understand how the scoring goes. But now the Twilights. Twilights are normally good at Gravitrax events, and they're going to go very quickly around that corner. This is looking pretty good. It'll all depend on how quickly how far they go down the beam, I guess I should say. 7.57, only 123. Yeah, some of these marbles will have to get close to what the ultraviolets set on the shooting to get close to their time. They did a 179. The Swamp Crashers now. Swamp Crashers gold. They have 2 gold medals in this season, so they want to continue this momentum going into the final event. The Swamp Crashers, they're going to DNF. They're not going to get around that corner. We knew there were going to be some issues with that slow part of the track, but the Swamp Crashers couldn't even manage to get around it, and that is going to be a DNF for them. Meanwhile, we move on to Team Mariana. Obviously, our thoughts are with them, with one of their athletes having a career-ending injury in the last event, being permanently deformed by the faulty part of the track. But they're going to come down. It's going to be a very quick time, and they're going to go quite far down the beam. It's good to see that they're not, I guess you could say, put off by the tragedy that they've suffered. And that's going to be a pretty good time, 7.46. So now the benchmark has been set for at least getting close to the top. Ultraviolet still in the lead as we have Team Horizon now. Team Horizon are searching for a good end to an otherwise very poor tournament, and that was not a very good corner. That's going to be a very slow time, and the shooting was not good either. That is going to be the opposite of what they wanted, an 8.86 only. And so they only have one event to try and fix all the bad luck that's happened to them. Meanwhile, the Foresters, very high in the overall leaderboards. I think they're on the podium at the moment, and a good finish here could shoot them up to the top of the leaderboards. They're going to go around this corner. They're going to get it pretty quickly. It's not exactly what they wanted. They're going to go across the beam. It's not insanely far. A 148 for a 7.74. That's going to be a little bit down there, unfortunately. But it's not going to be the bottom. The Windbreakers now. Windbreakers also want a very good end to this tournament. They've had some ups and some downs so far. They're going to be very quick in that first section around that long corner. I think that's the fastest we've seen so far. Also pretty satisfactory around that slow corner that the Swamp Crashers DNF'd on. The balance beam is not going to go particularly well. A 136, but a 7.47. And I think that will be a bronze medal so far. Yes, it will. Ultraviolets, Team Mariana, and the Windbreakers will make up the podium with half of the teams having gone. Foresters a bit down there in 6th. Swamp Crashers will definitely be getting last. Flaming Cobras now. One of the few teams that are notoriously good at Gravitrax events. But of course, the Gravitrax isn't the only part of this event. They also have to be good at shooting. And I dare say they're pretty slow around that twisty section. Oh, and the shooting did not go very well at all. That's going to be only a 115 for a 7.97. They are not going to look back at that with good memories. Or with fond thoughts, at least. Berry Blasters, another very good team on Gravitrax. And they're going to get off to a very quick start. Super fast, especially around that long corner there. A little slow around that hairpin and around that one as well. I think they might have lost a bit of time there. They're going to need to have a pretty good shot. It's not going to be amazing. It's only going to be about halfway down. A 120 for a 7.73. Berry Blasters also could have done a lot better, I reckon. Now Team Watermelon. They are at the top of the overall standings, or at least very close. And they're going to want a good finish here to try and keep that lead. And they're not very quick around the first half. How are they going to do around this hairpin? They're at least going to get around it, but it is very slow. This is not satisfactory for what they wanted. And they fall off the beam very early, before halfway. Only 100. So that's only 1 full second being taken off their time for an 8.77. That is going to be very down there, and that is not what they wanted. They'll need a miracle to be maintaining their lead. Now the Wayfinders. A little camera issue, I can tell. A little bit jumpy, but they're going to go around that corner. Are they going to get around the hairpin? Yes, but it's very slow. So they're going to want a good shot to make up for all that lost time. And they're going to make it over halfway. The Wayfinders are going to make it all the way to the end of the balance beam. So the Wayfinders will get the full 2 seconds off their time. Well, more than 2.30 seconds off their time for making it all the way to the end of the balance beam. Unfortunately, their running time was so poor that it is not going to give them the lead. But they will be very much up there. The Midnight Stars now. One of 2 teams that are now unable to win. So their title defense is officially over, which is very unfortunate. But they could still have a good end to the season. And that's not going to look too bad. Their run looked okay. 8.15. Okay, maybe I spoke a bit too soon. 145 for the shot, salvaging a little bit of momentum. But that is going to be down there. Team Clarity now. A team that is also fighting for the championship. And a good finish here will get them right up there. Even though they're already very close to the top. And it's looking pretty quick. Around that hairpin, that was not too bad. This is going to be a pretty quick time. And they're only going to get a little bit more than halfway. That's going to be a bit nerve-wracking. 7.75. That might not be in the top half. It'll be close. Middle of the pack. And I think they could have used a bit more. The Rosemaries now, getting close to the end. With Sage and Scarborough using one of their reserve members, just like most of the teams have been so far. It's not going to look very good. That was a very slow corner there. They're going to stop the clock when they hit that shooter. The shooter's going to fall off. That's going to get pretty far down the board. 157. That's a bit more what some teams have wanted for a 7.83. A 9.40 was their time. And we're going to finish with the Red Riots, who also, they had a very good start to the tournament, but a couple of their last finishes have been pretty lackluster. However, they're going to have a very good run for the first half. Not very quick around that corner, but the first half looked pretty good. Have they salvaged anything? Oh, no, well, they're not going to salvage anything with a balance like that. Only 103. So 1.03 seconds taken off for an 8.14. That's not what they wanted. That's going to put them outside of the top 10. So the top 3 does not change from the first half. The Ultraviolets, Team Mariana, and the Windbreakers will medal in this event. Team Mariana finally getting something good, especially after the tragedy that happened. So heading into the final event, only the top 7 can win.